Good morning, Coaches Cup listeners. I am Sonya Green from Sonya Green Coaching.
And I am Judith Bender, one of the amazing coaches with the No BS weight loss program.
Today, we are here to help you know what you want. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, knowing what you want. Judith, talk to me about why this topic.
Well, Sonya, if we don't know what we want, then what are we doing? Right?
Yeah.
Why are we doing the things we do? And this sounds like a simple
Well,
enough.
because I have kids and because I have a spouse and because I have a job.
Oh, but what I hear you saying is you're doing what maybe you think other people think you should be doing, or you're doing what you think other people think you should be doing, and you really don't know what you want. This is a super common, I don't want to call it a roadblock, but maybe a fork in the road. I experience with many of my clients where in that decision-making problem, why am I doing what I'm doing and what do I want to do?
Yeah. Yeah, so many of us, and I say us because I've been in the same boat. You feel like at times you're just going on along with the flow, with the current, whatever is happening, whatever the kids need, whatever the spouse needs, whatever the boss needs. You're just going with the current. And we do that because we think it's easy. But the thing that I always remember that you remind me of whenever I say something is easy is it's because it's familiar. And it's the path of least resistance. But why do we need to worry about what we want? If we're already on the path of least resistance, then why worry about what I want to do in life?
Well, I mean, I hate to sound, but why worry about it? Well, worrying about it's not going to be helpful, but why is it a problem to not know what you want? Because then, you're going to turn around and be, at some point in your life and be like, why don't I have the things I wanted? Or who am I? Right. This happens when the moms who've raised the kids and now they've finished college and you've done all the cheerleading, football, and the games, and you've done all the things, and then you're an empty nester, and you really don't know what you want because you've done so many things
For so many people.
for so many people. And having that opportunity and that space to that void comes in. And if you're not actively practicing and questioning who you are, what do you want, and tapping into that space for yourself, then you could be left in that spot of, not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. I don't even think I can add anything to that. It's a point where, well, I'm gonna have to cut that out because I've lost my train of thought. But you sparked something I really wanted to speak to, and now I don't remember what it was. Anyway, I'll come back to it. So let's start with in our discussion of knowing what you want. Like you said, you get to a point where things change and suddenly you have time to come up for air. And you realize I don't have a clue what I want because I've been doing things for other people for so long. Oh, I know what I was going to say now. One of the things that happens is that along that path, we're doing for other people, and then suddenly we're like, enough. I have nothing left to give. And people either start to resist it actively, or they start to lose their momentum, lose their energy, and just kind of, because they're doing for other people, they have no stakes in the game. And so you need to figure out what you want for yourself in order to help build your momentum, what you have to give to other people. It's that old adage, you can't fill somebody else's cup when your own cup is empty.
Yeah. And what I hear there, and I think what I want to make sure we're not talking about, and that is, but it could, it will, and that's people pleasing, right?
Yeah.
Codependent.
Yeah.
At some point, you have either been culturally raised that way or familially raised to be the people pleaser and never had the opportunity to practice because you've always put yourself in roles where to please people and to find validation through others. And then when it comes to that point and even questioning what you want, you don't have that capacity
Yes.
to 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 know what you want because
Yes.
it's not familiar.
Yeah.
And to that space of it feels very uncertain, and that break out in cold sweats because you're moving forward in a space for yourself. And again, it's
Yes.
not that it's a problem, but your brain recognizes it as fear,
Yeah.
right? Be triggered,
Exactly.
fight, flight, freeze mode
Hmm.
from doing something different. So it's important to know a lot of things about yourself. And if you know you're a people pleaser, I want to make sure you spend some time being extra kind to yourself as you consider possibilities of moving forward. And
Yeah. And what you might want.
mhm, and asking yourself daily,
Yeah.
what do I really want?
Yeah.
Is it really this piece of dessert or this chocolate cake?
Yeah.
What
Or this job or
mm,
this partner or
mhm,
you know, when I'm talking to women about what they want, and they're just totally like, deer in the headlights when you ask them that, what do you want?
mhm,
I find sometimes the best place to start is to ask them, okay, what do you not want?
mhm,
And
mhm.
so I'm curious, do you ever use that tactic of starting with, if we can't figure out what we do want, do we know for sure things that we don't want?
I I don't typically use that. I'm typically going down the path of, if, like best case scenario, if
Hmm.
you imagine if it didn't matter what anyone else said or thought
Yeah.
about what would you want?
Yeah.
What would you want going in that forward direction? And then and they might not have it because they might not understand it because one, they already have what they want,
Hmm.
that you could have it. You're just not recognizing that you
Right.
already have that thing or quality or something that you value.
Hmm.
Whereas on the other side of that is that the investigation hasn't happened into, because we spent so much time just going through the motions and not evaluating, um, what do I really want,
Yeah. Yeah.
me and only for me, without any, and letting go of that can be really difficult sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. So, what are some steps that you have? Sorry. Sorry, I asked you.
What? Let me
All
pull
right. So,
that right here.
step one that I have. All right. So, some steps for knowing how to know what you want. The first one I have is to be able to determine your core values, which I think is kind of what you were pointing to, uh, and your strengths. You were talking about how people need to spend some time in reflection and thinking about who you are, getting to know yourself. What are those core values that you have that are important for whatever you put in your life going forward?
I
And
think, mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think that's a really good place to, again, for just knowing yourself at any point in your life. Um, but that space of knowing what you want is, I would say, is the practice of stepping into your body and
Hmm.
not overthinking it, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of what goes on spins around in the brain. And when you have the ability to slow the thinking down and can pause and question intuitively, to trust what your body tells you, because you will have a visceral response, feeling
Yes.
pulled towards something, or you will notice the tensing of something.
Mhm.
And trusting into that process would be what I would add into, at least where I've found the most benefit.
Yeah. Well, to give you an example from my life personally, um, so I'm going to apply this to, I guess, in kind of a personal context. When I was going through um, counseling after my divorce, I was about 37, and my therapist said, "Listen, you're 37, you're probably going to get in another relationship at some point." And I was like, whatever. But you need to actively think about what you want in a relationship,
Mhm, mhm,
and which was a foreign idea to me ever. And my biggest problem in my first marriage, because I never thought about the fact that I could have a list of things, or a value system for what's important to me.
mhm, mhm,
And so, as we've discussed in one of our previous episodes, which I would encourage people to go back and listen to that one on figuring out your values. I really think that's such an important episode. But humor is a really important value to me. And so, in my that was one of the things that went on my list. I have to have somebody who has a similar sense of humor. Um, and my husband does. We laugh a lot, but that's a value that extends. When I think about what I want in my life, I want laughter,
mhm,
and I want people around me I can laugh with. I want, if I am in a career, I want it to be one where I'm spending time laughing. Humor is important to me. And I know you have said often that fun is important to you.
oh, yeah.
That's how you measure.
Same.
Yeah. So that's a very practical way to apply that, determining your core values and your strengths. What are the things that are most important to you? What are the things that you don't want to do without? Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, whether it's just your daily life,
Mhm,
and I've got to have laughter, or it's not gonna be important to me. I don't care really a whole lot about making a bazillion dollars. I
mhm.
don't care about making $1,000,000. That's, money, material things. That's not one of my core values, but I do care about being able to laugh.
There you go.
So,
I think
and
it,
and
I
just quickly, I'm not judging anybody who does care about making money. I'm just saying that's not my value.
right.
Yeah.
I think, for me, on again, coming back to maybe from that people pleaser point of view and keeping it small and doable, um, on the daily thing, like learning in the smallest ways of what you do want in your life. Do I really want this cake, or do I really want my weight loss goal, or do I want
Mhm.
a beach house, or do I want a lake house? And I think the one of the traps we fall into is believing the lie we tell ourselves, right? It's not, because thinking like that, sometimes that's a cop out we will go into, is like, oh, I really don't know what I want. And like
Uh-huh.
stifling, that's making ourselves smaller from that space of, um, again, that people pleasing and not knowing when we really do. And that's where even we can even do more harm, if at all possible, by shutting ourselves down and not speaking our voice on what we want. And no matter the thing, no
Mhm.
matter.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier asking that question, and if you had to know today, no outside judgments, no nothing,
Mhm.
to see a client, could that light come into their eyes when they realize, "Oh, I do
Mhm.
know this thing,"
Yeah.
is really, that's a fun moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also a fun moment when they, to help them see, the tears along the way too,
Mhm. Oh, sure.
when they're figuring out, because it's not always, when you realize what you have been doing is for pleasing other people, and that you have known what you've wanted
Mm.
but have not been doing it. That process is, when you learn that you've filtered your life through that lens.
Yes.
It's But then you develop the power of discernment,
Yeah.
because you have your prefrontal cortex and you have your inner knowing of what you want,
Mhm.
and that processing through and holding that little bit of space for yourself to trust your voice.
And, when you're talking about believing the lie, it made me think about sometimes clients will tell you or will tell me, I I'm always doing for other people. I want some time for me. And so you start taking that apart and they're spending time, taking their children to activities or and so you start talking about that and they actually do want to be doing those things. So
Mhm.
they are doing the things they want to do on the daily, but they need to be reminded in the overall picture that, hey, you're choosing to do this daily. Because the
Right.
other side of that lie is that you tell yourself, I just need some me time when really you are choosing the
Yeah.
things that are important.
Yeah, I think that's super important to point out, is that narrative, that story we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
And it's so,
We
it's
all
in,
do it.
yeah, it's insidious, the word I want to use, that
Mhm.
it's so insidious how it flies under the radar.
Yeah, it's sneaky.
If we're not dialed into that narrative, um, it can just be a hard road to hoe if you're believing.
Yes, yes, we make it difficult, right? We make ourselves it's a heavy burden to bear.
Mhm.
I always think of it, like putting on an extra backpack. Well, here's
Mhm.
the things I have to do today. I'm going to throw that in my backpack. I'm going to carry that around all day. When actually, if given the choice, you have chosen to do these things. And
Mhm.
how much lighter is that to know that you get to do these things, that
100
you get to take your child to practice or, whatever.
to go to work, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah. Oh,
Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Um, so other points that you have for people as they're figuring out how to get what they want or knowing how the as they're knowing what they want.
Again, I think it's practicing on the daily, the smallest of things, and getting in tune with yourself and starting there. And now, as far as like goal setting type, knowing what you want,
Mhm.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
topic for exploration. But just in the most basic of sense of knowing what you want is learning, again, like you said, the values, and it's learning to trust yourself. It's learning that if it didn't matter what anyone else would think, and even if you it if you just if it didn't matter what others meant or what you made it mean, what would you be doing? What
Yeah.
would you want?
Right now.
I had a client one time let her husband pick her food. Now, talk about like,
Hmm.
because she didn't know what she wanted, right? Because he had done it for so long. So the work we did was her using her voice
Uh-huh.
she wanted.
Yeah. That's crazy. Practicing meditation, that is the way I was thinking about this. That's the point I had, and I think that's what you're saying. You don't have to sit cross-legged on a pillow in the floor,
I don't do
and
that. I don't do
hum.
that. You do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no. But I think a lot of times that's the picture people get when we talk about that we practice meditation. And I do try to sometimes sit in a quiet space, on the floor so I don't get too comfortable, because if I get too comfortable, sometimes I'll fall asleep while I'm meditating. But having that time where you can sit and be aware of your breath and just have some time to think about like you said, what if nothing else mattered, what do I want for myself in this moment?
Mhm.
And that alone time to think.
Mhm.
And maybe I hope that you find, dear listeners, when you're doing this, that most of the things you want are things you already have.
Mhm. I think that's important to remember too, is
Yeah.
wanting what you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Spending
that's an
spending time in gratitude and
yes.
recognizing the things that you do have, because if we're coming at it from that place of the things that we don't have, again, that's the
That
hard road to hoe.
scarcity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that scarcity mindset. No, absolutely. All right. Any last bits of wisdom there?
Oh, know what you want. Start practicing today. Don't delay. Just start questioning. Keep that curious mindset. And
Yes.
remember, when you're in curiosity, that opens up the space to be playful with yourself and not judgmental,
Yeah.
and figure out with ease what you want.
Yeah. To have fun and laugh with it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how much I already have. That's exactly what I want. There's not much better feeling than that.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
All
Wanting what
right.
you have. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for being with us today. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we always do, then please go to iTunes and give us a review. We would love to have that 5-star review. If you didn't like it, then don't worry about it. No need to review it. If you're looking for coaching, you can find me at sonyagreencoaching.com.
And you can find me on Instagram. I'm just Judy, JustJudie. And I'm a coach for the No BS Weight Loss Program.
Also, you can join our Facebook page at the Coaches Cut Podcast. I always forget that, but plug in there. Our listeners are really good at talking about episodes, giving us things. Tell us, in fact, with this week's episode, get on the Facebook page and tell us what you want. Maybe it's something that you already have. Maybe it's something you didn't realize you wanted, but we'd love to have that feedback from you. So hop on our Facebook page and tell us what it is that you want. All right. Till next week. I'll see you later.
Bye.